Today we'll take a look at the Kicker Amphitheater boombox. This is the nicest boombox I've ever had. This one has great bass. I really like the sound of it. I have an old school iPod and it has a dock for it right here. So I can set the iPod on there and it has a direct connection. It also charges the iPod as I use it. So you can see there's two speakers up here. There's also a subwoofer part in the back. And they sound really cool. The trouble I've had lately, I've had some intermittent power. Sometimes power will turn on, sometimes it won't. So let's take a look at that. So on the back, you have a reset. Here's your power switch. Here's where your 24 volts comes in from the wall. Here's your auxiliary in, so you can run a cable in here if you wish. The USB charging, and it also is able to make Bluetooth connections. I pretty much just use the iPod or hook up a phone in with this. And the trouble I've had is when I turn it on, sometimes the power is on and sometimes it isn't. So I would suspect that maybe there's something wrong, dirty or whatever, inside this connector. So took it, and there's a whole ring of screws that you take out underneath here. So take out all of these Phillips head screws. There's only one that's different. This one here is long, so if you try this, pay attention to where that one goes. And then you can actually pull the base off. So I pulled the base off. Did this a bit earlier. All right, so here we are inside. Now it's kind of rather interesting. Here you see one of the speakers. Here you see another speaker. And if you look up where the subwoofer part is, there's no speaker at all. So somehow, I guess these two speakers can give you that subwoofer effect. I was both shocked and a little disappointed, but it's pretty amazing technology. And if you take out a couple more screws, you can get down into here where the power supply comes in. So I hooked up to the power in. First I made sure that the power was consistent coming out of the power supply with my test meter over there, and it was, so that part was good. Then I unplugged everything from here and I hooked up to these positive and negatives and hooked up the power and switched it on, and it stayed on. But I've had trouble with the unit actually turning on. So it didn't appear to be the power plug here or the switch, because I was able to get consistent power out through here. So after looking through the manual and scratching my head and trying to figure out a few other things, I thought, well, there is a reset button down here. It's kind of hard to see, but it's a little hole. And so then I decided to go ahead and push the reset while the power was on, and I held it for about 10 seconds. And after I released it, it was working. So in spite of the fancy tool for removing screws, the fancy tool for checking voltage, and all this stuff, the tool I really need was a bent paper clip to push the reset button. So if you have any trouble with one of these Kicker Amphitheaters, I'd encourage you to start with the reset button before you do everything I did. But anyway, here it's kind of cool being able to see inside the guts. I hope this saves you some effort.